Hi everyone. Thanks for joining me today for another episode of Photoshop CC, the basics. Today we're going to be talking about the pen tool. The pen tool is a little used tool that I think can be very handy, especially with more linear images. As you see, I have switched from my portrait that I was working on with you, and we can go back to that once we finished the pen tool and the parts of the toolbar that I think apply to what we're working on right now. And I've switched to an architectural photo with more linear lines to just show you how the pen tool works and how it can be very useful. And you can use it for more linear places of your portrait photography too. However, I think it's really displayed well when you're talking about architectural photography. So this is one of the architectural photographs that I've used in the past. And I am just going to zoom in and show you how this works. Let's go in a little bit more. And I zoomed in to about 500%. And the reason for doing that is just so that we can get a real clear image of what we're looking for. So this is your pen tool right over here. It looks sort of like a fountain pen. Oh, sorry about that. And we're just going to select by clicking our pen point where we want our edges to show. So we're just making a box selection of the window pane here. And I'm just going to use this to show you how you might change the color in the pane of glass. It's just an easy way for making a selection or multiple selections when it comes to architectural photography. So now I've closed off this selection. I don't have to select it immediately right now. I can select all the panes to change at the same time. So I've closed off that selection. Now let's say for the sake of argument you wanted to bow your selection a little bit, which we don't in this case. If you click in the middle of the line that intersects and you drag it up, you can see how you sort of have an arc here. And that's another way of sort of tracing along the line that you might want. I'm going to hit Control Z here and Option Command Z again to get rid of the lines that were there because that's not the selection that I want to make. And you can hit Command Z as many times as you want to go back along each step of the way, which I just had to do a couple of times here. And we're just completing this section. Once you've made all the selections that you want to make, so now I have these 4 boxes closed off. If you hit Command and then Return, you can see that it selects everything here. So what I'm going to do is create a duplicate layer with my selection. And let's just say for the sake of argument that I wanted to adjust the levels of these window panes. You can see that the selection that I'm making here is just the panes of the windows and nothing else. And that's great. Sometimes you want to be able to do those things, and obviously we don't really want to make that selection because it didn't look very good to begin with. So I'm just going to adjust it a little bit more. And then when you're done with making that selection, I usually just click someplace else, usually another selection tool, and then click outside just to release the image. And when we zoom out again, you can see that the rest of the image is unaffected and just this one section is a little bit darker. It wasn't really necessary in this case, it was just a good opportunity to show you what the pen tool looks like. So I think that wraps up the pen tool and how useful it can be. I hope I've answered your questions, and have a great night.